Good afternoon. Welcome to the 2:30 p.m. Public Works Committee meeting. First agenda item, I call this meeting to order. Agenda item number 2, resolution authorizing payment of $100,000 to Neil Berryman, plaintiff, and Richardson Bordeaux, attorneys at law, from the sinking fund as a payment of a judgment and attorney fee in case of CJ 2024-3728. Neil Berryman as next of kin to Andrew Berryman versus the City of Tulsa. This carries the emergency clause. What do we do now?
Good afternoon, counselors. I'm Chad Becker from the Treasury Division, here to provide you some assurance that there is a sufficient cash balance in the sinking fund to pay this judgment ahead of the levy placement on the tax rolls. Judgment's been approved by the court and the mayor, and with your approval, Finance will issue payment to the claimants and file the necessary paperwork with the county to levy repayment to the sinking fund over 3 years. Current balance in the sinking fund is $54.6 million, so we are adequately positioned to pay this judgment ahead of the levy, and we have City Legal here to discuss the case.
Nick Williams, I'm one of the attorneys on the case. This case arose from a fatal vehicle accident on June 5th, 2023. The accident arose in the course of a TPD officer's pursuit of the vehicle. The case was brought by the estate of the passenger in the vehicle that was involved in the accident. And we've reached a settlement, as Chad said, of $100,000 with the family of the decedent. So I'm happy to answer any questions there may be on the case.
Questions or comments? Councilor Gilbert?
What area was this accident?
The accident took place just north of, I believe, 68th and Memorial. Pretty busy shopping area.
Yep, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 3, resolution declaring the intent to consider approval of one or more project plans and creation of tax increment districts under the Local Development Act, directing preparation of project plans when appropriate, appointing a review committee, directing the review committee to make findings as to eligibility and financial impact, if any, on taxing jurisdictions and business activities within the districts, directing the review committee to make a recommendation with respect to any proposed project.
Hi, my name is Audrey Blank. I'm one of the assistant city attorneys and partner. This resolution is regarding starting off the process to work on another project plan and with a few districts in it. The interesting thing with this one particularly is that it's in Osage County, which will be the first district like this that the city has worked on. And so because of that, we need to appoint a different review committee because the taxing entities are different. There's we have Osage County Health Department, and then TPS and the Tulsa Technology Center are the taxing entities. So that's what this resolution is about.
So who will chair it?
It would be it provides to be chaired by the counselor from that district. So this is
Still the city council?
still the city council.
Okay.
It's in Tulsa city limits. It's located,
But in Osage County?
but in Osage County, it's located. The area is located east of the LL Tisdale Parkway and west of the Osage Tulsa County boundary, north of Seminole Street and south of west of Apache Street.
Councilor
Which
Bingham?
project? Which project is this reference?
It's a new one.
Yeah, what
Which
project?
project?
It's a name.
Oh, okay. The name that it's been given is the Peak at the Parkway.
Peak at the Parkway.
Yeah.
Is that P-E-K?
AK.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure.
Is that your final question?
I just wanted to ask what I thought was an obvious question. What is this reference?
Hey,
What
I
project
can
is this
step down.
reference to?
Any other questions?
I'm on an emotional roller coaster.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you. We have to hear.
Sorry, we're laughing with you, not at you.
I'm laughing at Chris.
Yeah, well, him, we always laugh at. So
Yeah,
it's
that's definitely a
Okay, all right. Agenda item number 4, right-of-way occupancy permit between the City of Tulsa and East Ritter Communication Holdings LLC issued for the use and occupancy of the city's rights-of-way to allow for the purpose of placing, owning, operating, or managing facilities therein. Howdy.
Howdy, good afternoon. My name is Chris Mashburn. I'm with the Public Works Department. Pursuant to the Rights of Way Management Ordinance, Title 11, Chapter 12, the above limited liability company is applying for a permit to occupy the public rights of way for the purpose of placing, owning, operating, and managing facilities therein. By approving this permit, the city is authorizing the lawful use of the public rights of way, subject to all applicable ordinances. This application has been reviewed and accepted by all applicable departments. Please review the application. If it meets with your approval, we would request that you would approve the permit by executing the document.
Who is Ritter?
They are here to answer any questions that you may have.
Can I ask a quick question?
Councilman.
Okay, so that is a good question. Is this a DBA or is this
Who do they do?
someone part of a nationally known chain? Because right now, we have an issue that most folks are aware of with, is this a new provider doing new installation, or is this an upgrade to facilities, pre-existing?
If you all have anyone who wants to come up and you can just.
Sure.
And then also,
Yeah, you can
making
keep both of these
sure
are free.
that if this is a new install, we have MetroNet that we've had issues with, and I want to make sure we don't go through the same processes that we've gone through with MetroNet and AT&T when we're letting a new provider come in and do installation in the city, because we've had some serious problems.
What did the name, did you say Metro what? I can barely.
MetroNet fiber.
All right, introduce yourselves and tell us, what do you do?
So Victor Esposito, really appreciate you all having us here. It's Katie Hall to my right and a large contingent of us behind us who will answer any questions you have. So Ritter Communications, just briefly, has been around since like 1906. We started out in Mark Tree, Arkansas, and since then we've grown to all of the surrounding states of Arkansas, serving them all. We launched fiber to the business, followed by fiber to the home in around 2021. So we provide fiber services, internet, voice, video, mostly to mid-size, small-size cities, depending on the market. We have started our expansion into Oklahoma, and that expansion started with this build. So it was a build from Fort Smith, basically over here into Tulsa, where we can start by providing some wholesale and business services into the community and along that route. I know there was some question around the MetroNet comment you made, and one of the reasons Katie's here, she's our Director of Comms and Audit, is we love that question, because one of the things we pride ourselves on is the work we do in the communities. So we make a very big effort of going into the community, notifying the residents of what's happening, partnering with the cities, partnering with the businesses so that they understand where we're going to be constructing, when, the construction process. We use door tags, cards, social media. We have a whole complaint department so that if anything happens, folks can call us directly. We'll let them know that we'll repair that to the state it was in before we got there, within days, not weeks or months. We don't leave holes open all over the city, and Katie's entire department is focused just on that. I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, I'll elaborate just a little bit to overkill question 2. Things that he touched on, we are really, really proactive with our communication. So as we're going into this build, the areas that we're going to cover primarily in the business corridor, but if and when we do touch the residential areas, we have a resident letter that goes out. I have copies of all of these if you guys want to see them, but we have resident letters that go out that let the community know who we are, what we're doing, what they can expect from us, and the most important piece for my team is there's a hotline number on there. It rings to either Jonesboro or Millington, Tennessee. Real people that are experiencing probably the same weather that you guys are experiencing are going to take those calls, put those complaints into, let's call them concerns, into our ticketing system that comes directly to my team. We give the residents or business owners a call within 24 hours. And then, like Victor said, we have day resolution timelines on that. We also follow that up with a construction postcard. We have door tags, so anywhere that we are working in the area that there may be a residential presence, we're gonna door tag those areas, flood with that same number. There's also a QR code that they can scan that has a video of what the construction process looks like. Also kind of links back to our website, because like you said, people here don't necessarily know who Ritter Communications is. Our website does a great job of explaining that.
Okay, so you all lay the fiber infrastructure that other utilities come in and use?
Yeah, at the end of the day, we will provide service to other businesses, wholesale providers, or residents, depending on the build.
But we manage the network.
we
It's
man-
our fiber.
that's right.
We manage our own network.
Yeah, so we have, something we're very proud of. We've got best-in-class services noted by a lot of customer satisfaction scores that we do across our market footprint. And we'll be bringing, another gigabit option for your residents, more business options in the city, and more business in the city.
What other questions can we help with?
Counselor?
So will there be a team that's local to assist, should that be necessary?
It's a great question.
So we've got a ton of local folks. In fact, one of the gentlemen sitting behind me, Peter Majeski, is, I believe, an Oklahoma native. And Peter manages this area specifically, and the gentleman to his left is Rich Busby, who's specifically over this project, making sure it goes the way we intend it. And they're both managing our main contractor, who's doing most of the work in the dirt for us.
Who's the main contractor?
Is ADB.
That's what it says in the backup. I read that.
It's okay.
Also, I wanted to ask, what will the initial cost be, if there's any kind of comparison that citizens, residents can?
Oh, for the service?
So initially, our build is going to be focused on business services, and those are typically on individual contracts. However, on our website, we have pretty much standard rate pricing across the board when we do get to residential. And one of the things we love about our product is what you see is what you pay. It's whole home Wi-Fi, so there's nothing else to do after we show up. And it ranges from $60 for 350 meg up to
Okay, that's
like
what I was gonna
120 for
ask
5
next.
gig.
And with that, when he says what you see is what you get, that's all included. Taxes and fees are already built in that. There's no install costs for the residents. All of that is baked into that price, so it is flat standard rate pricing. We also don't have any contracts that come with that, so when you sign up with us, we don't require contracts for any of our residential customers. We built our platform, like Victor mentioned, in 2021 on what other providers did wrong. We asked customers, what would you like to see out of your fiber provider? And we built a brand based on that.
So how often do you actually increase the cost
Since we've launched, we haven't.
at all?
No, ma'am.
So if somebody were to access the service tomorrow, they could count on a good 6 months of not having any kind of notification or increases?
Absolutely,
Yeah,
since
absolutely.
2021,
Yeah,
so.
okay. That's decent.
Counselor Bingle?
Okay,
Hold on,
so-
are you done?
I am.
Okay.
So, just to put some clarity behind what I've said earlier, so you've got MetroNet Fiber, who's come back behind AT&T, so now you're a third bite at this apple for citizens who potentially could see impacts to property, even rights of way, right? And some of these holes that are being dug, there's mud being left open, there's not restoration back to what was previous. And so I want to understand, right, if you have to go on people's property, what is your policy about, if I put a hole here in the right of way, right, which you have legal access to, if I have to encroach in somebody's yard, tell me what the process is for that.
I'll take that. So in the right of way, like I said, we have those proactive door tags. So before we ever dig a hole, they have the door tags. I don't want them to ever have to call me. If the call has made it to me, it has been open too long, the instance has gone too far. Our contractors know that, so we try to avoid that at all costs. But if that is the process, if we dig a hole, there will never be an unattended hole. If it is open for more than the time that they're working there, it is fenced off with snow fencing and cones. But we don't leave those open over a week. That's just part of the installation process. You dig a hole, you fill a hole kind of thing. If we are outside of the right of way on residential property, and there's a disruption there. So say there's ruts from a bore machine or, whatever equipment they have, we have a right by you pledge. And what that means is what we do is going to be right by the resident when we're done. So if there is a disruption, we take care of it. My team really, really works hard on that. We currently, on any given day, I would say on a weekly basis, in an 8-state footprint of construction, we get roughly 20 calls into our hotline. At any given time, we may have 4 outstanding. So that's just something we work really hard to be proactive on any disruptions that do take place, because we know construction's messy. Like you mentioned, there's gonna be mud, there's gonna be dirt, there will be holes, there'll be, grass disruption. All of those things, are what we do every day. We know that, but we also know that those people that we are causing disruption to are not our customers yet. It does us no good to put fiber in the ground if we can't win those residents over as customers.
That's
Right.
probably the.
So when you're returning things back to normal, right? And why I'm hyper-focused is
Absolutely.
because I've really gotten some hard complaints, and of course, we've had to pass them on to our Public Works Department, who has to oversee all this stuff and make sure we're doing the right thing as a city. So we're outside the growing season, right? So in contrast, AT&T made their upgrade during the grow season, right? And so you kind of can see where you have rains and sod has been replaced where sod has been removed, and we're outside the growing season. Grasses are growing dormant now, and where you turn over rock, which is below the surface, right, that is now at the top.
Absolutely.
And so when you're putting these things back to normal, are you making sure that you're not leaving the rocks on top, because those become, in the next mowing season, right? I want to make sure that we're doing the right things when we're going through and we're installing things, and we're being as less inconvenient.
Absolutely.
Especially since we're coming now at the third, because that's what this really is to the citizens. If you do potentially come through, and even in Tulsa, period, it's going to be the third iteration where people have seen this and they're like, oh my God, another hole being dug.
Right.
Who is this now?
We're not foreign to that at all. We would love to say that we're the first provider in every time. That's never the case.
Right.
But we really take pride in that. Where you mentioned sod, what sod we removed is the sod that we will replace. So if they have zoysia, they get zoysia back. If it is dormant season and the resident doesn't want dormant sod put out, they have our hotline number in the spring. We will come back and replace that sod with green sod if that's what's needed. That's something we really take pride in. I have another Katie that works on my team, and she keeps a running database. And so if we have something like that, there's also places where, say we have filled in beside our handholds, and it may wash out and there becomes a sinkhole. That's something that we keep track of on the back end. If those calls come back in and it becomes a repeat offense, that's something that we send a contractor out on site day of to restore. When they're working in the area, let's be reasonable. If we've moved them out of the area, it may take more than a day to fill that, but
Yeah.
coned off before that.
And so really what I'm trying to do is prevention control here for you.
Absolutely.
Right? And not on just my part, but also yours as well. And so I just want to make sure as you're going through this process as a new install and a new provider, that you're cognizant of some of the concerns that we've already seen with some of these subcontractors, and that you legitimately have oversight and planning, right? So that it's, quite frankly, the MetroNet, and I'm sorry to say this publicly, but it just feels like an amateur operation of the subcontractors. Pool noodles, what looks like pool noodles sticking out of the middle of people's yards. I mean, the commitment was that this was only supposed to be sitting there for 48 hours. So are you saying potentially this could be there a week?
Where the conduit is sticking out?
Yes.
That's not part of the typical build, no.
So would you say if you had to dig a hole, put your conduit there, right, your protective sleeve for your fiber, are you saying at most, how long should I see that hole there?
Peter, do you want me to
Before
not speak over
restoration
you?
back to normal?
We're typically 3 to 4 days.
Okay, that's perfect.
On normal construction.
Especially with this being in the business corridor, primarily until we get into the residential aspect, that's what you can expect.
And I think that's fair. As long as there's level setting and expectation that, hey, this isn't gonna sit here a week, we're gonna have a heavy rain and then we've got a washout. And so that's why I said I wanna be very I want you to understand some of the concerns that I have.
I would-
We
I would
absolutely
just-
appreciate that.
Yeah, I would just echo two things that Katie said. One being, at the end of the day, we're not just looking to put fiber in the ground, we want to service customers. So if we make everybody upset along the way, we won't have any
You're
customers.
exactly right.
And the second thing I would say that you probably won't get out of MetroNet or anyone else is, we've built in over 150 markets. I would reference almost every mayor in any one of those to talk about the builds we've done, which you probably won't get out of others. But typically, when we go back and visit, we hear the complaints about the next guy who came in and why they didn't do it the way we did it. So it's, your sentiment is spot on, and we hear that loud and clear and take that very seriously.
Well, thank you, I appreciate that.
Aaron, did you have anything to add?
I just want to add one thing because I had a chance to meet with the Ritter team back in July. And so we did some pre-research on the company before we met with them. I was impressed by what we heard from other people about what Ritter does. And so was very excited to see they were coming into Tulsa and looking forward to working with them when they're here.
Counselor Gilbert?
So along with what Councilor Bangle was talking about with the holes and the divots in the yards and stuff like that from the different machinery cleanup, the tubing to protect
The conduit.
Yes,
Mhm.
conduit,
Yes,
yes. If you would please just make sure that that is cleaned up along with the spools.
Absolutely.
That it comes on instead of leaving it in people's yards for
They
months on
don't
end.
typically like yard decor that they didn't ask
No,
for.
no.
We've learned that.
Yeah.
And we take that really seriously. A part that I didn't cover, one of the other side of my team does audit, so infrastructure audit. We will have a guy on the ground that can see all of the construction that's going on as it's going on. They pick up on things like that the contractor may have moved on to the next field. They didn't mean to leave it. That's what my team's there for, to go back and see that that's there, and we make sure
Okay.
that gets taken care
Okay.
of. We also will make sure all of you have our contacts as well, so if y'all see anything like that during the build, we know that's not your day job, but this is your city, and we know you take pride in it. We'll do everything we can to help facilitate that.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Even Christmas lights don't help with that stuff.
Right, totally understand.
Counselor Dutton?
Yeah, so, probably want to update that. It said insurance expires on November 1st.
It does, is that the November one or the?
We submitted an updated one. It
Oh,
just
okay,
did
because
not
in the,
make it
in the
Backup.
supporting backup documents, yeah, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Thank you for that.
Expired November 1st. I also have a question about local contractors. Will you be utilizing local contractors, or are you looking to bring people in?
It is a common practice with our general contractors. They will sub out contractors from the local area, so.
So we have one general that works directly for Ritter. They will sub to their locals in the area.
Okay, do they utilize union contract services?
That I cannot answer. I'm not positive about that, but I'm sure that they utilize all aspects of any labor, so.
And we
They
can find
actually
out
have
how
a
it's-
yard.
Yeah, that would be great. I'd like to know that. I think it'd be good for the employees that we have here, as well as the quality work that unions can provide.
Absolutely. We appreciate any feedback like that. Being relatively new to the area, we always say we're not new to the game, but we're new to the area. You know your area better than we do, and we'll take any feedback we can get.
All right, thank you.
All right, any other questions or comments? Well, thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate you all.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thanks for coming to Tulsa.
Agenda item number 5, license agreement between the City of Tulsa and Coxcom LLC for property related in the vicinity of 24807 South Wells Ranch Road in Claremore, Oklahoma, 74019, for the installation of 2-inch HDPE poly pipe with fiber optic cable, Rogers County.
Is this related to the next one?
A different location, Holzachry Public Works. We own 55 miles of right-of-way, anywhere from about 200 feet to 300 feet wide, out to the lakes. This is where our raw water flow lines are. We have standards that are included in your backup that whenever anybody cannot cross aerially, which we would somewhat prefer in some cases to be at, and they can't access it, they do have to bore under. Our standards are 10 feet outside of our right-of-way on either side. They have to go 6 feet below or greater, our flow line, so we have there's no penetrations, there's no hitting, there's no anything. And those diagrams and standards are in here. So what we have is we have two locations. The first one that you read is here on the, let me see, this one, the first one is 24807 South Wells Road in Claremore. It's the same company, it's the Cox.com LLC. And everybody's reviewed this and seen what their practices are and what they've done, and we would recommend approval of this license agreement. And this does carry the revocation. If we have any issues, if we have a water line break, we're not subject to damages, et cetera. They're basically there at their own risk and have to remove it if we need them to do so. But generally at 6 feet below, we found that's beyond any point where we're gonna get into having any contact with their lines, so.
And this includes item number 6?
Yes, ma'am, that's just another location.
Same, another one, okay, we'll read that license agreement between the City of Tulsa and Cox.com LLC for property located in the vicinity of 760 feet north of East 530 Road on the east side of South Crystal Lake Drive, Claremore, Oklahoma 74019 for the installation of 2-inch HDPE polypipe with fiber optic cable, Rogers County. Any questions or comments on those agenda items? All right, thank you. Agenda item number 7, change order number 1 to contract number 137758 between the City of Tulsa and TriStar Construction LLC for project number 2159FR0315 in the amount of $38,459.02, adding 63 calendar days necessary for the addition of reinforcement steel for the east and west parking lots of Turkey Mountain in Council District 2. 63 days? Why not 60? I'm just joking. Go ahead.
It was 70, we got to 63, we thought you'd be happy with it, right? We went to 90%, so. We are building a west and an east parking lot. The west parking lot is brand new. It's on 61st Street there back where it kind of straightens out and heads directly west. The east parking lot is the old gravel lot that was shut down for many years up there. We're completely putting concrete over that. What we've run into in the past is we like to reinforce the entrances and exits because of the turning movements, the impacts that we have in those particular areas. So we decided to add rebar, and that was not included in the original. So we have reinforced entrances and exits out of both these parking lots. By the time they ordered their steel and got everything, 63 days was what was appropriate. It's about, it was a $1.3 million, a little bit over contract, and this represents $38.4 thousand, and it's about 2.92% increase. And we would recommend approval of this change order. We believe it's makes us for a better quality parking lots up in that area.
Questions or comments?
Did you get the rebar from Maxwell Supply?
I could not tell you, but I can get back with you on that.
Yeah?
Okay.
Yeah, that would be great.
All right.
Local.
Yes.
All right. Agenda item number 8. Presentation by and discussion with the mayor's senior advisor on homelessness or her designee regarding plans and proposed outcomes for the winter shelter. Other than discussion, no action will be taken.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Good, how are you all?
Is that what this is? Yep. Okay.
Thank you, Stephen. Okay. Winter shelter update. So just to kind of revisit where we are today, I want to go back a little bit. For the last several years, we've really relied on service providers that within days' notice, hours' notice at times, to lift up and open emergency shelters. Maybe it's for a night or 2 nights, maybe it's for a week. Just really kind of depends. And the purpose is to save lives, right? Like the temperatures drop, there's an ice storm, we've got to get people off of the street. And that is really difficult for service providers to, within hours, find a location, get staffing, get food, get everything that they need at the same time that they're trying to move people off of the street and into safety. So during our January mayor council retreat, we identified that really figuring out a way for this winter to ramp up and look at and be prepared and have a identified winter weather shelter. So that's what we've done, and I'm going to go into that in just a minute, but here's some of the driving factors that led to that priority for us. So just, if you'll remember, in January and February of this year, over the course of 5 to 7 days during both of those months, we had 2 winter emergency locations on top of our already operating shelters. So that was at Rose Bowl and Dream Center West, both operating about 200 to 250 capacity. During that time, there were 950 coats distributed. There's 2,100 cold weather items distributed, whether those clothes, socks, hats, shoes, gloves. There were 940 unique individuals who we were able to save their lives during this time at those 2 specific locations over those 2 months. Mobile clinic was utilized to respond to significant numbers of frostbite as people came in, as people stayed on the street up until the very last minute, and frostbite was an issue. Also during this time last year, from November 1st to March 31st, Tulsa Fire Department responded to 467 fires, and those were either encampment fires, some sort of fire by an unsheltered person for the purpose of keeping warm. Sorry. So that's how all of that was occurring and why we are where we are today, with opening a winter weather shelter with the intent of cutting down on resources being utilized. We're utilizing our fire department to respond to fires and hopeful that we can cut down on the amount of frostbite. So the location will be 7216 East Admiral Place. This is currently where Be Heard is operating their day program out of. It will open November 17th through March 31st. During emergencies, those winter nights that we need to get everyone off of the street, it'll have the capacity to serve up to 250 individuals. It's going to open serving 50 to 60 over the first couple months, and then move into serving 125. It's going to be 24/7, so it's open all the time, and there will be on-site security 24/7 as well. Currently, Be Heard operates a day program in partnership with Creoaks. I believe Family and Children's Services runs programming and services out of there, and they are a Way Home for Tulsa partner. This will be pet friendly. This will be for individuals, adults only, men and women. As with previous years, when a family comes in and needs a warm place to stay, to get out of the cold, this shelter will work with those shelters that host families, such as Salvation Army, to identify space. Typically during these emergency weather situations, shelters will work together to move people around to ensure that no one is turned away. There'll be breakfast, lunch, and dinner, on-site case management, housing navigation, again, 24-hour security, medical, dental, via supplies for cold weather needs, daytime programming. What is happening at Be Heard right now will continue on throughout this wintertime period. Also, there will be on-site showers, laundry service, lockers, mail service. And what Be Heard offers right now our haircuts, hygiene items, again, clothing and pet supplies. So really, this is a hub to gather stuff that is needed to stay safe and warm throughout the winter. And the purpose is to keep people warm, safe, alive, and to cut down on responses to fires and frostbite. Additionally, Creoks will be working to provide the case management with Be Heard, and then happy to answer any questions.
Counselor,
She said I could go.
I just have one really quick
Oh,
logistical
okay.
one, instead I gotta
Okay, Counselor Bellis.
have an appointment with breast milk. I have a question for you. It's my whole life.
TMI.
Let's go back to like your painting ability or something. No, okay, so one, I'm excited that this is happening because I know we've always, as a city, been like, hey, we gotta get further ahead of winter weather and keeping everybody safe. So super excited about that. Quick, this is just like a super technical logistical question because I remember this being an issue of years past with other sites, which is really they came to fire marshal and capacity for people to actually spend the night there overtime long term and like capacity or sprinkler systems or things like that. What are we allowed to maximally do here, or what does the fire marshal said about all that?
So it's fire marshals provided an exception. This is temporary. This is this winter what we're talking about.
Okay.
So
This is just for this winter.
this is just for this winter right now, and then if Creoks decides to continue this on, that's a decision.
Okay.
But right now, they're seeing how this winter goes, and then they'll make that decision to
Okay.
move forward.
And if they were, would they have to do other stuff
Yeah.
for the fire marshal?
Mhm.
Okay, because I know there was, this is like a few years ago through Housing Solutions where they tried to set up a certain number of beds at the Merchant, but they were told you can only do X number.
Yeah.
They had wanted to do 50, they were told they could only do 25, so I just wasn't sure how some of that played in.
Creoks has worked with the fire marshal, they've done walkthroughs, they had to put in some wired smoke detectors.
Okay.
But they're
Okay.
good to go.
Cool, I feel like half the time we're doing anything, it's a surprise at the end when someone's like, then the fire marshal
Yeah.
said. Okay, thank you.
It's a church.
It's a church, yeah. I just wasn't sure, because, there's that whole, if they're gonna do something overnight, long-term, it gets different.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so then if they decide to do this longer term, then they'll have to put in some permanent
Okay.
fixtures.
Okay, thank you. That was
Is it an active church or is it vacant?
Well, it's gonna remain an active church.
Okay, Counselor. Yeah, done.
So, I have some questions from constituents.
Sure.
I think I sent those last week,
Mhm.
Monday, my bad. And so, on behalf of the district and constituents, I would appreciate if we could address some of those questions.
Sure.
One was a request for a biweekly public meeting so businesses and residents can openly bring issues to the mayor's office. Is that baked into a plan?
Are your constituents want a biweekly meeting with the mayor's office? Or
That's a
with
question, if there will be any biweekly or monthly meetings with the neighborhood and businesses as the shelter progresses.
With me.
With-
I think we can determine that as the doors get open and there's concerns, definitely open for having conversations.
Okay, determination. Okay, and then questions that were also submitted. I know it sounds like an interrogation and it's not meant to be, but it's important for the neighborhood because they don't understand and they feel left out of the conversation. So, another question is, will the homeless there be vetted, as we do have children in our neighborhood? Why was the neighborhood not notified before the decision was made and the die cast? What will be done to protect the neighborhood?
So there's programming that runs out of there daily right now. This is no different other than being able to provide overnight. So instead of day service closing at 5 p.m. every day, and then folks who were seeking day service having to disperse to try and find a place to sleep at night, they have the ability to stay in a temporary shelter overnight and continue receiving services there.
Okay, well, it will be different in that Creox will be running it, correct? And the money that's going to be used for this is the RCC, originally RCC ARPA money?
This is ARPA dollars that were a part of the original homeless MOU agreement in 2023 between DEC, the old, James Wagner's old office, and the mayor's office at the time. There was an allocated amount of ARPA dollars, and then the council, then the contract was entered in with Housing Solutions to be kind of the manager of emergency shelters last year, and they were the managers of it. Creox will be the operator in partnership with Be Heard and other Away Home for Tulsa. So the dollars are not coming, the RCC ARPA dollars that were designated are part of Safe Move Tulsa. These are dollars that have not been utilized yet, but are geared towards emergency shelter.
And what's the amount of those dollars?
It's up to $1 million left.
$1 million for
emergency weather sheltering operations.
For roughly 5 to 6 months. Would that be correct?
4.5.
And you're looking to open on the 17th?
17th is
Okay.
when they open.
Okay, so I'm just gonna run down some questions, and
Okay.
then you can stop me anytime. Will a zoning change be necessary? You mentioned something, the fire marshal exception and permits. What does that look like?
There are special exceptions for emergency shelters, and this is temporary, just like at Rose Bowl, at Dream Center.
Okay.
So, again, if Creox decides to do anything permanent, then they would have to go through a zoning process, but right now there are exceptions in place for temporary emergency shelters.
For the amount of time,
Mhm.
for the months?
Yes.
Okay, and initially, it was brought to the attention of myself and the neighborhood that it would start out with 60 beds, and then I just saw the presentation where emergency capacity of 250.
Mhm.
How is that gonna work with a facility that initially was going to start out with 60 beds?
So it's gonna start for the first few weeks, right, to scale up. So it starts with 50 to 60. They'll have, on regular nights, up to 125 beds, but that was emergency nights. When we have emergency weather situations, we've got to move people off of the street, then they would go full capacity to 250. So that would be an emergency
Number?
situation only, yeah, which is what I
Severe
think.
freezing.
Yeah, emergency
Yeah,
capacity is
32 and below.
250. They will start with between 50 and 60, within 3 weeks or so, be up at their capacity at 125.
Okay, and who are the partners that will offer the resources with Creox?
They're Away Home for Tulsa partners. I think they're still working on exactly who all that will be, but Iron Gate typically offers some food support, food bank. I believe Family and Children's will be providing case management, and so.
With Creox?
Mhm, they work together right now at Be Heard.
Yeah, just
we-
checking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we currently partner and work with you.
Yeah, I knew you guys were partners with them, but I didn't know with Creox running it,
Yeah.
if that was still going to be a conflict, or,
Yeah,
I
no,
mean,
we'll
if it
do
was
what we
going.
need to do to cover the need. Every year, Family and Children's Services supports the need.
Can you come up to the table?
I'm so sorry.
I want to play nice together.
Jill Young.
Jill Young, Family and Children's Services. So every year, Family and Children's Services is used to providing some staffing support for this event. It's just something we've always done. Sometimes, I think last year it was almost 200 staff over the course of however many days that we provided. We do that along with Grand, with Mental Health Association. We just all pull together and do what we need to do.
Okay. I know my question that I sent is actually kind of long, so I'm just gonna ask a couple more questions, but if you could email me some of the answers instead of taking up all this time on council, that would be helpful. What is the turnaround time then with a temporary shelter? What would the average bed stay be?
That, I can't give you a number because someone can stay as long as they may need to be able to stay depending on what their needs are.
Okay, and do we have, how will they be designated with, females, males, families? I mean, I'm just wondering.
So
what.
families are not, families, it's an adult shelter. Families are not going to be housed there, but they will be working with other service providers to get families where is most appropriate for families to be. Just like during the winter shelters right now, at Rose Bowl and Dream Center, they are not geared towards families, but providers will work directly with family-serving shelters to get them beds. It will be congregate sleeping, like many other overnight shelters, and so it will be men and women with 24-hour security, doing walkthroughs. Staffing will be 1 to 18 or 1 to 22 based on needs, space, and what's occurring.
1 to 22 per.
1 to 18 or 1 to 22, that range, based
What
on
would that be per person? If.
one person, one staff
staff.
member to 18 people,
Gotcha,
or one
gotcha.
staff member to 22 people, based on
Gotcha.
space, needs, time of day, programming.
And if I
So-
could just
yeah.
say, with my experience over the last few years, the shelters work really well together in exactly what you were saying, Emily. Managing, so John 3:16, they only take men, so this shelter,
Yeah.
we'll call that shelter, and we'll get the men there, and we'll get the families here, and we'll get the women here. So they're really good about the coordination. We have after-hours meetings, we have weekend meetings to make sure our coordination is in place when these emergencies happen.
So it would be helpful for me to be able to pass on to the neighborhood what the plans are. If we could have something that's actually tangible for them to read and to go ahead and follow through. And I know that Creox is going to be running it, and I'm hoping to get with Brent about that as well.
When you say plans, what are you, you're looking for their operational plans, you're looking for programming?
Yep,
Okay,
all of it.
I think they're very familiar with Be Heard. Just giving right now, I can ask them to provide more detail, but I believe you're very familiar with Be Heard and the programming there. That programming will be happening during the day, those same services, and then into the night, I think they're looking at creating some community opportunities for collaboration. They've got, my understanding is that the neighborhood is really engaged with Be Heard. They come over, volunteer. Actually, this summer have been utilizing some of their services. So I think that they're in a good place right now. But as far as more detail, I know they're working through what extended time looks like.
And I appreciate that. I mean, the fact that we're going to get it open on the 17th is just concerning to the neighborhood, not having been made aware from the beginning of how this was going to look for them. And I understand their concerns. And I also am very familiar with Be Heard and the fact that they are good stewards of the neighborhood. There's still overflow that happens after they close at night that concerns neighborhoods, that residents in the neighborhood, and the abutting neighborhoods. And so I think to be able to alleviate those that are concerned, I know there are plenty supporters as well, but I also believe in order to make it more harmonious, it would just be helpful. With any project anybody does, there's always a plan, and there's always outcome information, there's data to support how they're gonna go about things, programming, who the partners are, what role will the partners have in that, just something more defined.
Sure.
Okay. And I appreciate it. I'll look forward to the email. Thank you. Any other, Councilor Bingo?
I'm gonna throw a softball at you in comparison.
Are you?
I am.
All right. Bring
So, with this facility, right, obviously Counselor Dutton's expression of concerns by a neighborhood having an impact, right, at a higher scale is certainly something they need to be aware of. With all the different facilities as part of what cold weather events and especially during extended periods, with all of the different facilities that are available, where does this put us in a deficit? What are the numbers that put us in a deficit of need?
Yeah, great question. So instead of both Rose Bowl and Dream Center, we'll likely just need one of those locations, probably Dream Center West, because pets are allowed there. However, depending on, Safe Move Tulsa launched today. We just closed our first encampment. The more progress that we can make on that frees up more shelter space, meaning that maybe we don't need as much capacity on a second location during those very emergency needs nights. But the more that we can get housed, the faster that we can close street sleeping, the better off on number of places that we're gonna need.
Yeah, and I don't dispute that in any capacity. My question is, let's say today we started a cold snap for the next week where temperatures get sub-zero. Is there any deficit where, in numbers, where we don't have a place for somebody to go?
We should not. Between this place and Dream Center West, and then the shelters that are currently operating, they have winter emergency capacity that they know how to expand. We should be okay. Now,
So every person should be off the street, period.
off the street, period. Does that leave wiggle room for people who may have a
Right.
house or maybe in a car but no heat?
Right, I totally
Probably
get that.
not.
Things you
Not at
can't
all.
account for.
Yeah.
I totally get that.
People who don't want to get up.
Right.
Yeah, or
Right.
people
So-
that want to go, yeah.
Along with that, thank you, Counselor Farrell, jumping in, sorry. So along with that, I think the neighborhood also would want to know if there are going to be people that are going to be bussed in from other areas of Tulsa.
So the only time that transportation, it has been utilized in the past, has been those emergency nights. Tulsa Transit, we've set up where warming stations are, direct transport to the emergency shelters, to get people there, and then once those shelters close, to get people back. But like we heard right now during the day, that daily service from downtown just ended Friday. There's not a daily bus in that example.
In this
Yeah.
equation.
Mhm.
That'll be good for the neighborhood.
So I just want to make sure, I'm very clear. So if we had to activate an emergency plan to get everybody off the street, we have a plan in place to get every single person, other than the specific mentioned. We have that, we have
Yeah.
space for every
We
single
have
person.
space.
Good.
November 17th, we will have space.
Good, and that's kind of what I want to make sure of. So if we do reach those lower temperatures, we're not, in the news because we didn't prepare for it.
Right.
So,
Can I just add to your budget question?
Sure.
So the agencies, I can't speak for all of them, but I know several of us, we volunteer staff. So hopefully we can continue to do that with all the
Right.
cuts. Who knows what's gonna happen in the future, but we always commit to volunteering our own staff. So it's not an extra expense to the city or any other agency out there. That's why, one of the reasons we all pull together and just try to do what we can, because we all know how to do this work serving these individuals. And if we can all lend a few staff to help, that's the hope, so that it's not pulling on any other budget issues in the
Yeah,
city.
and I think we all greatly appreciate that. Like I said, I just want to make sure that if we do hit one of those emergencies, that we're prepared, we have a plan of activation, and that no one is going to be left out on the street to suffer or potentially lose their life.
Yeah, and yes, what this allows is for, what's happened in the past is relying on an enormous number of volunteers, outreach workers who are going out into the field, bringing people in, then working overnight shifts, then going back out the next day, is allow some expansion on capacity.
Yeah,
for
I know
staff.
it's going to be a stress on, the folks that are doing that work. So again, we appreciate what it is that y'all are doing.
You good?
Yeah, so I just want to say that I do appreciate a winter shelter. That's something that we know that I have been very interested in as well. And going forward, I hope to have you and the mayor at the table in the neighborhood to be able to give insight and updates for them. I think it's important for them to be included in the conversation. And right now, they don't really feel included. So I'm hoping to work with all the partners as well as the mayor's office to bridge that gap there that the neighborhood seems to feel.
Sure.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you providing ideas and looking at locations and suggesting your district, and even in our very initial conversation back in 1st of August about, is this location a possibility? And now it's coming to fruition, so, yeah.
All righty, thank you.
Councilor Gilbert.
Emily, thank you so much for all your hard work on this. For clarification, you brought up Safe Tulsa Move as being a part of this?
No, it's not a part.
Okay, we're not using any of the funding for that program in this?
No, so what, I think I mentioned it in 2 different
Yes,
capacities.
and it was,
Yeah,
sorry, there's been a lot.
one is that there are ARPA dollars designated for homeless-related initiatives. One being emergency shelter use, and that is so that little pot of dollars is what this is for. The ARPA dollars that have been designated for the residential care center were reallocated for Safe Move Tulsa.
Okay.
So
Okay,
they're
right.
two separate.
And we also use opioid money for.
Safe Move Tulsa.
Yes, Safe
Yeah.
Move Tulsa. Will you be possibly be using Safe Move Tulsa in with this?
No, so
Is
what?
that only just for the shelters that exist?
Oh, I see what you're saying, like to
Yeah.
get people housed?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Everyone that is unhoused right now is up for, to be a part of it. So absolutely, there could be some housing directly out of the shelter.
Okay.
The other piece around Safe Move is, as we can move quickly and at scale with Safe Move, then it brings the need down for these emergency
Right,
winter
absolutely.
shelters.
Yeah.
But absolutely, people will be, that are being housed through Safe Move may come from this winter
Okay.
shelter.
And security, who is running security at the shelter?
I will have to double check, but I believe that it is the security staff that typically runs the emergency shelters. But I will check. I know that they are trained in de-escalation, and that is a really big piece. I think that security, so I'll double check and get back to
Okay.
you.
And what budget is that coming out of? Is that coming out of Creox is providing that? Are we providing that through
The
that
security?
ARPA?
We are covering all operational expenses.
Through ARPA
Mhm.
funds?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that it? Councilor Gilbert?
Yeah.
Councilor
Thank you.
Layton?
You may have said this, I'm sorry. What does it look like inside? Like, where does everybody go?
Sure.
It looks like a church from the outside. I don't know if there's pews still in there. I don't know if there's like a basketball court or whatever. So
It
where
is-
does everybody go?
Yeah. It's a very large church.
Yeah.
It faces on Admiral Place. And the back side is where Be Heard currently has their daytime operations.
Yeah.
And their offices are sit right inside the church. Right inside those doors is a very large, just open, I want to describe it as like a great hall sort of room.
Fellowship
That,
hall.
that is going to, my understanding is that they've got a divide, and that's going to be the sleeping area. Men and women, there'll be restrooms, showers that will be separate. And then On the other side of that, there's an area for eating, and then for day sort of case management, there's offices, case management, that sort of stuff, and day programming.
All in like the
The
south
back- kind
portion
of
of
like
the church?
backside of the
Not the
church.
sanctuary looking part?
Right. The sanctuary will be emergency night capacity. So
Okay.
it will be,
Are there pews still in there?
um,
Just make do with what you have?
yeah, I think so.
kind of thing?
I can't
Because-
remember. I've walked through it, but it was a while ago. But it would be open up for ability for pots to be put there.
I've slept on pews before, it's okay.
Yeah. It helps if you have a little mat. Right.
Yep. I know.
It's a little rough.
Sometimes they're
It's rough.
comfortable.
Yeah.
Sometimes they have floors.
Pushes the ground.
Okay, thank you, that helps.
Okay. Yeah, I have one last set of questions, I'm sorry. So, talking about from bed to housing, that was one of the questions also, what the turnaround time would be from bed to housing. If that's something that this is actually going to be a participant program.
They'll have housing navigators that will be working with clients there. However, with the by name list, it is long right now.
Yeah.
And so be working off of that, but get into case management, housing navigation, do people match, and can be a part of Safe Move Tulsa. So there will be pathways to housing.
Okay. And then, if you could just send me also what the cost per day per individual and staffing would be, that would be helpful as well. And I also just wanted to finish that the facilities that we had talked about, one was Dove Academy, and then there was another at Sheridan and Pine, like a warehouse type. I know that there had been talk about Be Heard, but I just wanted to clarify for the neighborhood that I was not aware that it was gonna be Heard that was selected. So, I just wanted to put that out there because that's what the general idea is that I was somehow being underhanded with the neighborhood, and I just didn't want that to be a barrier.
So for clarifying purposes, no one was selected. It was,
Right.
As you know, as we talked about different properties, we have very significant budget constraints.
Yes, I get it.
And could not purchase anything, could
Yeah.
not lease anything. It was, after we had those initial conversations in August, didn't know what would come about. And then that is when Creoaks came and said, I think we can
Okay.
operate a winter shelter.
Yeah.
And then that's all kind of come together over the last several weeks.
We'll get with Creoaks too and get them, and if you wanna come along too,
Sure.
that would be
Happy to.
great. We'll start with Creoaks and Be Heard, and then, see how the neighborhood feels if they want to have further conversations with the mayor's office.
And when you say neighborhood, are you referencing the neighborhood just adjacent to the property, or
I'm
what do you
talking,
mean by
well,
neighborhood?
actually, I'm getting conversations from the neighborhood just north from Memorial to Sheridan, that neighborhood back in there, Maple Ridge neighborhood, as well as McClure Park neighborhood. And I've even had comments from White City, which is still quite a ways to me away, but just to alleviate and give them the feeling that they're gonna be okay.
Yeah, there are people that are homeless
Yeah.
all over the area, and think that without the current providers that are running day service, it's a
Yeah.
4 to 5 hour walk to the nearest provider
yeah.
right now. And so there's limited services, but this will help cut down on some of the nightly movement, because people will have a place to stay and can stay during the day.
Yeah, I agree. I expect it'll cut down on crime, hopefully in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I hope so.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Agenda item number 9, travel authorization per council rules and order of business in the estimated amount of $1,200 for Council Hall Harper to travel to Evanston, Illinois to attend the 2025 First Repair Symposium to be held on December 2nd through the 5th, 2025, hotel, airfare, and per diem. Questions or comments?
Lots of questions.
Lots of questions.
No.
This is a rock, paper, scissors, what it might be.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
1, 2, 3.
I got
I
rock.
got paper,
I got
so
rock.
I lost, but I beat you.
Oh, I got rock too.
I don't really know how that feels like.
One way or another, Vanessa, you're gonna
Yeah.
win it, sounds like.
Yeah, you're going.
Thank you for reading your own
Okay.
eyes.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
All
how it
right,
works here at the
we're
council.
adjourned.
Thank